is that teams will like snap one of the Stoneborns into the Inquisitor's cigar room and mind control him and use him to one-phase cigar in between his like stuck casts on all of those ads. And what that does is it allows you to be able to save a lot of time. You don't have to end up killing the small, I don't know, channeling ads that sit on top of those pews, and you're able to just kind of hit the boss. Okay, so PI Me here has pulled their Stoneborn. You're going to see him get MC'd right before they end up going through this mirror. And something similar is probably going to happen for Golden Guardians. Right now, these teams are neck and neck, though, and I think it's just going to come down to a damage race at the very end.
Yeah, it's going to be PI Me making it through slightly ahead of where the Guardians are. They are getting right onto Cigar here. No effective damage is possible until the boss finishes its cast, right? That first channel anyways. But then as soon as that happens, you are on the clock. You need to get this thing dead before it gets to its next channel, or else it will fully heal, and you will have accomplished nothing. However, they are way ahead of the check for that. This boss is melting.
I think the timer for this is 30 seconds in between the casts of the heal. So you do see PI Me. They do a great job of getting that mob down. Unfortunately, it looked like somebody got targeted by a spiteful shade and were in combat, so they weren't able to actually skip this Pride. It looked like they were trying to position to Invis-potion it off. I'm not 100% sure. Golden Guardians...
They can't either because... So they lost their Stoneborn right when they were going to Invis-pot, and that puts you in combat.
They combated them?
Yeah.
That's so tragic.
Yes.
That's so unlucky.
So both teams unable to skip their prides here, and I think if either team had done so, they would have won this game. You could see that was exactly what Golden Guardians were trying to do there, but it did not pan out for them, and they are now going to have to kill this Pride. They are somewhere in the range of 30% of a Pride's health behind where PI Me is, but that is not an insurmountable lead here. PI Me are going to get started on this boss, but it is a 20 Tyrannical. Here comes the Bloodlust. Here comes all of their cooldowns, and they are going to try. Actually, they don't have Ashen Hallow available just yet. It looks like JB does have his wings up. We'll see if that means that he also has the Ashen Hallow here on pull. If so, that might mean that they get a little bit more damage here. Yeah, if they get to combine that with all of their cooldowns. It doesn't look like they pulled the trigger on the Bloodlust just yet, so maybe they are waiting. There it goes. There is the Bloodlust, and yeah, it looks like JB is actually going to be holding his wings here for a bit until he gets back to his Ashen Hallow. And I mean, yeah.
He popped him right there.
I think that was maybe a proc. They play that proc trait, yeah, because you can see the cooldown remains unused up at the top of the screen there. And Lord Chamberlain now at 49% health for PI Me, whereas it is at 57% for Golden Guardians. So it's 10% now. It's closing. There's the Ashen Hallows coming down. So both teams are going to have advantage there. I mean, neither team has an advantage relative to the other on the Ashen Hallow timing. 27% to 34. The gap is closing now. It's sub 10% between these teams. 3% health now separating these two bosses.
You guys gotta go!
They are accelerating here. Is it going to be enough, though? 1% now separating these two bosses' health, both at 13% at the same time. And now Golden Guardians are actually in the lead.
My gosh!
They have the boss somehow lower. There's the Elysian Decrees now coming out as well. 4% versus 7, and somehow Golden Guardians...
the Golden Guardians are going to do it!
They've just snuck a little bit more damage in here, and they're going to win this game!
Oh, my goodness.
No way.
Are you kidding me? Golden Guardians, even though they killed the Pride later, they had way more damage. You gotta look at the sigh of relief on the face of JV as he takes that victory with the team. They're up. Golden Guardians 1-0 right now in Halls. That is ridiculous, Zyro.
I'm completely dumbfounded. That was just pure single target pump pushing Golden Guardians ahead of PI Me there. Nothing else. They were 10% behind. Man, that's crazy.
That is the second time today, both in the Venthyr dungeons as well, Geradnos. We saw it in the Sanguine Depths on call. We just saw it there with Chamberlain. That's ridiculous. A little 5-6 second difference on that one.
Oh my goodness, the ending of that dungeon was incredible. I don't know how Golden Guardians were able to squeeze out that much more damage at the end, but they were somehow able to do it. And that was the difference here. 6 seconds between these two teams is so close. But PI Me pulled that boss like 15 seconds ahead of Golden Guardians. So, they accelerated so much.
Geradnos, what you don't know is it's through the power of trance music and chest hair. That is what increased their damage by enough to be able to take it home there.
I'm just looking at back now.
Special powers.
When Golden Guardians pulled the boss, PIME had the boss at 70%. They were 30% behind on that boss at the pull, and they just, through brute force and sheer DPS, pulled that out somehow. That is crazy.
That is obscene. And I don't think Call was that far away when we saw the previous matchup.
It was
on
more.
That one. Oh, it was even more.
General
Okay.
Call was
Call was at like 60%. Yeah.
Well,
half
she
of the
phases at
health you have to do.
50%. So
Yeah, so
okay,
that was 50
okay,
effectively. Yeah.
got it.
So
I mean, teams when they're ready to blast that final boss, it seems to be paying off huge.
Well, the crazy thing is, it's not like they had a different set of cooldowns available as each other. They both had Lust,
True.
they both had Ashen Hallow,
True.
they both had everything, and somehow
They're playing the same comp.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's inexplicable. I don't know where Golden Guardians found that 30 extra percent of the boss's health, but somewhere, I mean, maybe they crit more, maybe they greeted and stood under the boss in a more effective way and were able to keep damaging during those Door of Shadows phases. I have no idea. That's something that is going to be a mystery for me. I'm gonna rewatch the tape on that one.
That's
Maybe
buck
get the
diff right
Warcraft
there.
logs on this one just to break it down or something like that. It's ridiculous onto it. But, you know, Halls, right from the very beginning, Zyra, you were talking about the power of the Ellie Shaman, and this is just like the case study for why it is so good. Double shards of Halkias into one pull. Obscene.
It's so fulfilling to predict something will happen and then see the exact thing happen on your screen. But yeah, like we mentioned, the
You look
power
really
of the
smart with it, too.
ancestral guidance. The power of the ancestral guidance there, man. It's just so good specifically for this use case and for other use cases as well, right? In a couple of those pulls, we saw almost 10k HPS coming out of the Ellie Shamans. It's just ridiculous. It lets your healer pump as much as they want.
Yep. And at that point, it's really just going to be looking at, you know, for these teams, how well prepared that they have been for just those pulls over and over. We kind of think of like Halls as being one of those dungeons as well, which can be easier to practice because it's a lot of the pressure at the very beginning of the instance. You're not having some crazy technical pulls at the very end, like, you know, where we talked about in the past titles about how it might be harder to test out some of the pulls for like the other side when you get the haste buff at the very end of the instance and get everything rolling at the right time. Whereas Halls, you got everything right there, right in front of you, right at the start.
Yeah, and I think that that also helps you a lot whenever you're trying to test new comps, like going into these lower duration dungeons, like these 14-minute dungeons, and trying out new comps, because you know very quickly, like, you can just run it back if you make a mistake on the first like 3 pulls. Whereas if the hardest pull happens, I don't know, 28 minutes into your DOS, yeah, you're gonna have a bunch of difficulty being able to replicate that run and try again. Again, I thought that the comps for both sides, I mean, there's a reason that Ellie Shaman was played, and I thought that it looked really strong, especially with how they were using AG and that Night Fae Covenant.
Yeah, no question. Let's start setting our sights here on Plaguefall as well, Dratnos. We've been seeing the kind of differences as well between teams opting for more of the brute force, trying to go with finesse for any of the wonder growth. There's Night Elf Shadow Meld skips that we saw as well in the Obey Alliance DGS series. Of course, didn't work out for DGS. So what are we going to be looking for in this one?
I mean, this is 2 of the most iconic mage mains we have in the MDI here, Dr. J and Fired Up against each other in a dungeon where one of the available strategies is built around turning your mage into a massive fireballing machine, right? And Fired Up has been one of the players with Golden Guardians that have really used that Wonder Grow strategy the most in our previous Cup weekends. So I'm curious to see if they'll decide to do it, because it hasn't always looked that great. It has often been defeated by the ignore the Wonder Grow and go Plague Borer strategy. But I'm sure that both of these teams have tried all different kinds of iterations of doing this dungeon, trying the Wonder Grow, ignoring it, skipping it like Obey Alliance did to win their game against DGS earlier. So maybe we'll see that kind of move coming out of both these teams. I would be surprised if we saw the full Night Elf action. I think that both of these teams are pretty likely to land on that Holy Paladin life. But
On a Paladin, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, there's some compelling action with the 5 Night Elves, so maybe. I mean, it is a dungeon where it's so hard to figure out what the theoretical best play is through here.
Yep, and as we get to see our little statistics here, looking at Tyrannical Glob Grog titles, you're the one who wanted to see the stats onto this one. What do you got for us?
Dude, this boss, I feel like people will just like fiesta this dungeon sometimes, and I feel like it almost always comes off the back of just letting the boss heal to beckon slime, because if you end up just having like bad cooldowns or whatever for that beckon slime cast, and any of the slimes connect with the boss, then you're like if the smorgasbord touches the boss, then you're basically ruined for the rest of the run. And it's one of those things that the comps don't have a ton of CC to be able to stop the ads that are running at them, so they just like all in commit on it. Interestingly enough, the Holy Paladin does bring a little bit more CC than the Disc Priest because they do have access to Turn Evil, which works on the slimes. But again, you're not wanting to stop DPS to actually CC them. You'd rather just continue to kill the boss through.
True. I would never want to stop DPS to use Turn Evil settles. Not one bit.
Well, you're also a priest, Jack, so you can't do that.
No, we were running together on my Paladin. You already forgot. Oh, well. Game number 2 going to be rolling between PIV and Golden Guardians with the latter up 1 right now. We're going to be moving on here into Plaguefall.
Alrighty. So I want to see what comps they're running. Okay, so interestingly enough, the only difference is we're seeing a Shadow Priest for the side of Golden Guardians versus the Windwalker Monk from the side of PI
And the Disc Priest, actually.
Disc Priest, yeah.
Yes.
The Disc Priest versus the Holy Paladin.
Which means there is that 5 Night Elf comp on the side of PI.
Yes.
This was the comp difference and battle that we saw earlier in Plaguefall as well, is the Paladin versus the Priest. And both teams, though, neither are going to do that skip to first boss that we saw out of Obey Alliance last time. And they are both going to be working here on this massive trash pull. Yoda there looks like a Darkness being procced there from the Darkness legendary. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that both of these Demon Hunters are actually playing a Necrolord for this dungeon. Yes, they are. So that is going to allow them to get that dungeon bonus of the ooze flesh crafting.
This pull is so difficult to pull off on Sanguine. That pull is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest, in the dungeon to be able to do on Sanguine, because you have the mobs that are getting potentially healed just over and over again. PI they don't have a Fungalmancer with them. They're electing to leave that behind. They're going to grab... They're looking like they're going to grab some Plague Borers, potentially to pull into Globgrog. Maybe they're just going to do some of this trash and wait for cooldowns to come up. I'm not 100% sure. But on Live Realms, you do see you see a lot of teams grab this double Plague Borer set that you see in front of us right now, and they'll pull them into Globgrog. But I wonder what PI is going to do, because they're just kind of standing. I hate this. I hate that they're standing here.
Well, they're at 19% right now, so it would be really nice for them to trigger a Pride and potentially kill that and Globgrog with the Plague Borers. But what is a good way to get to 20% count? It doesn't seem like there necessarily is one available. Spinebreaker? So it looks like they're going to be... Yeah, I mean, it looks like they are focusing damage into the Spinebreaker, so maybe that's the plan. You kill the Spinebreaker, you get your 20% Pride, and then you take that with the Plague Borers onto Globgrog. I'm not sure if that's what they're up to. It looks like Igloo is...
Look at what's Golden Guardians doing.
Okay, yeah, Golden Guardians into boss, but Lip is down for them. And so they are getting into boss here. Yeah, they got him up. Fired Up here does have that Wonder Grow, all those stacks on him, and the Prideful buff. But somehow his damage done is extremely
The boss is healing.
low here.
The boss is healing Sanguine. The boss is healing Sanguine. Oh no! The PI and the Combust coming in for Fired Up, but the boss literally just healed it all back up. That is so bad for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, they're keeping this Fungalmancer here. They get the Turn Evil on the big slime. The Frost Nova on the little ones, as Fired Up is forced to do all this utility work while he is this massive damage buffed mage. That is not gotta be a good feeling there. He turns into a giant soul-shaped frog as well. Dragon Breath and Ring of Frost. These are not the globals you're looking for when you have all this damage buff on you, and it's not going to be enough to stop these slimy morsels from making their way into Globgrog's tummy
this
either.
is so bad.
Yeah, Globgrog.
This is so bad for Golden
they've
Guardians.
dealt like 3 full health bars of Globgrog's health, but it's not gonna stop him as he keeps healing up for them. Meanwhile, PI they have their Pride buff. They have the same trash count as well. They're working on Globgrog, and somehow they're actually not even clearly ahead at this point, even though all of these things have gone so much better for them. Yoda's Darkness gonna proc once again from that Darkness legendary. He is trying to stay alive here, trying to keep tanking, but look at all of these smorgasbords now. There's so much stuff coming. It's going to be the Fear Sigil, but that'll only last them for 20 seconds before it breaks.
They got this.
I think they can get through this as well, but the Slimy Morsels are about to reach the boss, and Yoda's going to have to start running in a big kite there. It's going to be the Ring of Frost once again, but one morsel is going to make it to the boss. That's going to heal it up to 12%. They need to keep these smorgasbords away from the boss, but there's so many of them.
There's the Plague Belcher.
They're kiting into the puddle now as well. Oh no! 5%, 12%, it's healed up once again. One of the morsels has reached it, and they are trying to hide here. Yoda, though, Shakib goes down for Golden Guardians, and fired up his Connor eyes here. The Grievous on him as well, but the Slimy Morsels are about to reach the boss, and Yoda's going to have to start running in a big kite there. It's going to be the Ring of Frost once again, but one morsel is going to make it to the boss. That's going to heal it up to 12%. They need to keep these wipe for them. They have tried their best to recover from.
So many
of them. Not be enough.
There's the Plague Belcher.
They're finish off Glogrog, carefully avoiding that. They're actually fairly close to the spot at which it resets there, but they have avoided it. And so both teams now at the same percent health or percent count through the dungeon. But PI have a boss and 7 deaths in their favor. Golden Guardian's going to have to go back to the drawing board here, and they will not have a ride buff for this boss. Looks like they are going to be pulling that Fungal Mancer with reset, and they will be getting their Wonder Grow stacks from him once again. But I mean, just like our last series of Plague and the last cube that I remember in this dungeon, I can't help but thinking, is this Wonder Grow nonsense really worth it? It hasn't seemed like it's been able to win a game against the more focused, speedy, Plague Boar focused strategy instead.
Yes, exactly. Now Golden Guardians, they're retooling and trying to figure out how they want to make their way through this dungeon still. They do still have that Fungal Mancer they're bringing along with them, so they're trying to get, oh gosh, what are they trying to get? The Prideful buff at this point, and they're going to retool and try to pull again, Dratnos? What do you think?
Maybe, yeah. This is going to be a very interesting decision point for them, is how exactly they adjust their route, because there's so much preparation and practice of the strategy that goes into these dungeons, but it is no longer possible for them to execute their strategy, right? They just don't have that first boss with all the buffs that they wanted. There's no way to turn back the clock and get all that stuff again. So they have to adapt. They have to change their plan. And I think what they are going to try and do is take the 40% pride onto boss and recreate the original situation that way. But on the side of Piami, they are just going to be dealing with all this trash as they had planned. Their strategy is still entirely on the rails. It's going to be the Ring of Peace that no other team in this dungeon has yet had access to. This is the first team we've seen bring that Windwalker in here, and it does provide a tremendous amount of extra control for this Sanguine Affix that's allowing them to keep the mobs from healing. They're spawning their pride now. They're not going to, they have one Plague Boar for it, so the Plague Boar that it was polymorphed over there is going to be brought in here to help out with this pride. Once that Plague Boar explodes, it will take care of almost all of the pride's health.
Yeah, the debuff on that Plague Boar would definitely kill a pride, especially on like a plus 20 keystone level. That's something that we didn't really talk too much about, but one of the differences between going from an 18 to a 20 is that the Plague Boar bombing strategy is a lot more profitable now, just due to the fact that it's harder to be able to like manually kill a bunch of these trash packs in a time period that is just like super reasonable. Like otherwise you would just prefer to bomb everything. You just kind of have to wait the amount of time that you're spending killing it manually versus bombing it. And it looks like Rentari in the side of PI, I mean, they're looking to manually kill this pack, it seems like. They're not even messing around with the first 2 Plague Boars that end up spawning from that mini-boss.
Yeah, it's a great point. The calculus really does change as the keystone level goes up. When we have our great push event in a month, I think we will see teams making use of Plague Boars for this entire trash section.
Exactly.
And the way you can think about this, is if it doesn't make sense to you conceptually, is your Fireball is going to do less and less % of a mob's health every time you cast it as the key level's going up, right? But the Plague Boars stay the same.
The Plague Boars scale.
Yeah, they will continue doing the same percentage of a mob's health and damage. In fact, sometimes more. I think with Fortified, they actually scale up faster than the mob's health scale. So they become extremely, extremely valuable. And the calculus has changed from when we were in the plus 18 key levels earlier in the season. I think it will continue to change as the keystone level keeps going up.
Exactly. So one of the things that we saw from the 18 is that we saw a very infrequent bombing and a lot of like manually killing trash packs. Whereas now on the 20, you're still seeing some groups like manually killing packs, but it's only whenever you have like all of your offensive cooldowns up, and then you just like blow everything into one pack, and then you just go and bomb in the intermediate, and you just kind of wait it out. right now, you do see PI they're bombing this mini boss. I wonder if they're going to use the final 2 Plague Borer bombs. Oh, what? They got this Pestilent Slime. What are they doing?
Yeah, curious. I think that was
Where's this come
CC'd off
from?
earlier. Igloo is taking a lot of damage, though. He's going to go down, so is Clicks. Dr. J perishing as well here. They are spawning their Pride, and it looks like they are going to be forced to die and release here. And this is a huge opening back up into the game for Golden Guardians. I mean, this full team wipe for PI it wasn't as costly as Golden Guardians was, because Golden Guardians died in the middle of a boss pull, so not only did they have to run back, but they also have to kill a boss again that they've already killed. But it certainly opens the door back up. Both teams certainly now in the same conversation here. Good.
PI has a 1 minute run back that they have to get now. Like that even longer potentially. A minute and a half run back, something just ridiculously long to be able to make it back to the Ickis room. Where on the side of Golden Guardians, they have already gotten their first boss down. They retooled and repulled Globgrog earlier, and they finally actually end up killing off their Fungal Mancer, and they're just making their way through the instance. I think this is actually neck and neck now, Trent.
Yeah, absolutely.
As poorly as the Golden Guardian start has happened, what just happened to PI there? The wipe wasn't as bad because they weren't on a boss, but the run back time may as well have made it just equally as terrible.
Yeah, and Golden Guardians here doing a great job of speeding up as well and getting both of these tentacles here killed with the same wave of Plague Borers. Yoda now going to be grabbing this next 2 and taking them into the mini-boss. Okay, not over to the 2 tentacles together on the side. And so once they kill this mini-boss with these Plague Borers, they will be spawning their 60% Pride, which if they time this right, they will have another wave of Plague Borers to help with as well. Looks like Fired Up is going to go on a mission there. Look at that. He's cast his altar time, which is going to allow him to go back to where he was in a sec. So he's going to use his Ring of Peace here. Oh, he's taking a lot of damage, but he alters all the way back up. Yeah, to full health and to his old position. And you can see they're using this Ring of Frost to let them group everything up. And this Pride plus these 3 trash mobs are going to be all taken care of with the same explosions here. Yoda gets hit by one of those boasts, so that prideful stun. The Plague Binder is kept off, CC'd in a cage. They aren't going to be able to break that one out for now. So just going to be 2 of these 3 trash mobs and the Pride taken care of with their final Plague Borers of the dungeon. But I mean, they're ahead now of where PI is. PI had to kill off that Pride, and they're now going into... Actually, they're going into a massive trash pull here. This is neck and neck. I don't have a favorite right now between these 2 teams. It's worth noting that there is a 10-second death differential as well that is in favor of PI.
I think that... Honestly, it looks like Golden Guardians, I would say, are favored because they do have all of their offensive cooldowns available here, whereas PI's cadence is they're a little bit behind. PI has popped their Bloodlust, though, and I'm interested to see if Golden Guardians is going to elect to use theirs, or are they going to elect to use theirs during one of the intermission phases to try to burn through one of the bombs, potentially both of the bombs, even.
Yeah, looks like Golden Guardian's just going to leave a Spinebreaker alive as well. It's going to be coming with them. They need to watch out for that frontal, though. There's actually a lot of deadly ground effects with this mob in here and the boss. I mean, there's a lot of spots on these platforms that will kill you if you stand in them. Looks like they are ignoring the bomb as well, so look for some cooldowns.
That little bomb doesn't scale with key level.
The plague bomb, the big bomb.
Yeah, you're talking about the plague bomb.
The little bomb is safe to ignore. The big bomb, though, is going to require an AMZ. There it is. AMZ coming down. The entire team getting in there. Fired Up is going to go and DB an ice block out there, and they are okay. They've survived that explosion. Did cause them quite a bit of damage, but it saves them a lot of damage as well to not have to deal with it. Now they have to make sure they don't stand on too many of these all at once. The little metamorphosizing oozes there, because if you touch really 2 of them at this key level, you're probably going to be in some trouble. They need to make sure they're managing the Sanguine as well here. Turn Evil going to be used on that congealed slime. Very useful paladin ability here. You may not have it on your bars necessarily, but it is worth putting on for this dungeon, and actually worth socketing that finesse conduit that speeds up its cast time as well. And they will be using that here to make sure that they can manage those slimes in this section and earlier in the dungeon too.
Yep. Ickis is actually dropping faster for PI there. They were able to get him into his 33% second phase, just slightly ahead. Whereas on the side of Golden Guardians, they move Ickis to a different platform and have him leap back onto this one?
Yes.
I'm confused.
So maybe they've figured out a way to make it leap onto this platform every time.
To control it?
Yeah, or maybe they were just bringing it away from where the purple slime was, the platform where there was the purple slime running around.
Potentially.
Because it does, when you're turned evil, you're kind of kind of just running around a little bit randomly away from everybody, but maybe they didn't want to have to deal with that, as it looks like the second Plague Bomb is going to be not exploding there. Golden Guardians deploying enough damage to get through there, but PIME have also killed that boss and are maybe 5 seconds ahead, plus 10 seconds of death differential. So it is PIME that are slightly in the lead here as they are making their way into the middle platform. The Golden Guardians are having none of it, though.
Where are Golden Guardians going?
They are going on an adventure here. They have
They're going through the beta route.
An exotic seaside resort here, going through the beautiful slime of the Plaguefall. Beautiful pathing there that's going to avoid pulling any of those tendies. And they have now gotten through, heading towards the ambusher section here. So they do need to find some more count relative to PIME. PIME having gotten their count a little bit higher once they finished off this little island. What Golden Guardians are going to need to do is at some point, either after the boss or before, they might have to go back. And actually, no, I think they're fine. Actually, I think they have enough to not even need to backtrack here. Because I think that this is just going to work out for them in terms of count.
You need like 81. I think you need 81%. It's either 81 or 82%. It's slightly over the Pride spawning, but I wonder if Golden Guardians are going to skip this 80% Pride. It looks like the answer is no, because they're still stuck in combat with it. Yeah.
I don't think they were really trying to either. If they were trying to, they would have been focusing damage on those Stealthlings or trying to stop the cast of the Stealthlings.
Sure.
Meanwhile, PIME working on this same trash pack here over on the side. This will get them more than enough count to be done with the dungeon afterwards. But I think Golden Guardians, I think they need 1 or 2 trash mobs, and then they will have enough to jump down as well. Or maybe they can just head down and grab the oozes that are downstairs as well. The ones off in the little side corridor, and that might be enough for them too. So they are working on this Pride. If PIME can skip this Pride, we might be in business here. It looks like they are attempting...
Yeah.
No, they're not. They are also going to be pulling this Pride. It looks like with a little bit of trash as well, maybe.
Look at this. Look at this. Golden Guardians is about to just send it on the boss with the trash pack. That's really ambitious, but they have everything for it. Okay, so this is what they saved their bloodlust for. We saw PIME use their lust on the Ickis stuff earlier, which is how they were able to claw back. Whereas Golden Guardians, this is what we talk about whenever we're talking about like bloodlust usage. It's typically best used on bosses with Pride, or it's able to facilitate a pull. This, for Golden Guardians, is both. It's facilitating a pull where all these ambushers and spiderlings and all this stuff are into the boss, plus Pride. And, like, this is a really good use of their bloodlust for the side of Golden Guardians. I wonder what PIME on their end is going to do. I wonder if they're able to do a similar pull, but they don't need the count, is something that should also be said. They really don't need the trash. So I think that they're probably going to leave it, and I think that this is also why they're running that 5 Nelf comp, because they're just going to meld the stuff off later.
Yeah, so they have it all CC'd right now, and they're currently in combat with it, but it's not a big deal. They will be able to hit meld afterwards and then drop combat with this. So that is exactly what they are up to here. But like you said, I mean, there's so much power in that Paladin Ashen Hallow when lined up with Lust that it has allowed Golden Guardians to just do a ridiculous combination of trash and a really, really tough boss here. Dominant Venom Blade on plus 20, even with Fortified Active instead of Tyrannical, is not to be messed around with. And Golden Guardians have destroyed it here. They have several seconds now in their favor, as Dominant Venom Blade still at 55% for PIME. Golden Guardians firmly in the lead here, and they are heading now downstairs. If they can deal with this section cleanly, if they can avoid the mini-boss, Sanguine healing, any kind of disaster like that, they were in great position here in this game, where they ended up wiping and resetting on the first boss at 10% health. Let's not forget that happened.
That was, it feels like a very long time ago that did happen, Dret. It feels almost as if it was in a different run. But now Golden Guardians, they were able to recover, not like in the way that you prefer. They did have a wipe, but they were able to keep their composure and didn't tilt off the planet, and were able to effectively just have a clean run after all of those issues that did happen at the very beginning. And right now, they're pretty solidly in the lead. They need to make sure that they don't heal up Icar Bileflesh, though, because Sanguine on this guy is really annoying. He does teleport at 66 and 33%, so you can control whenever he does his ghost step. And basically here, they've killed off all the ads, so there's